Jones, Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where after 3 years of living together, we finally get married to the film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
How much of human life is motherfucking lost in doing this goddamn stupid podcast? I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gerald Christopher Torn Asunder Porter.
And I'm Kevin, happy to be back, Maher.
Hey, welcome back, Kevin.
Hey, thanks.
We weren't sure we were going to get you on this season, and we did, and we're glad because you've been with us for, I think, every other movie. Or no, you might have. Did you skip Temple of Doom? Maybe I forget.
I might have skipped Temple of Doom.
That's all right.
But yeah, I'm happy to be back. I had told Tom just a little backstory, a little behind the curtain. I had stopped doing podcasts for a little while because I felt I just didn't have anything to say. I didn't have any insights. I didn't have anything interesting. But now I realized I actually have something very important to say, and that is buy my book.
Well said.
Well, before we get into your great book, I thought you were going to say you felt like you didn't have anything to say. And you're like, oh, wait, there's a podcast for that.
Yeah. Where's there a podcast that they've just been spinning their wheels, saying the same thing over and over for about 3 years now?
That's many podcasts.
I guess that could be true. But yes, you have collaborated with our another former guest of the show, Joe Dater, on a new book project.
We have a Christmas book called Santa Doesn't Need Your Help, and it's playing upon the trope of year after year Santa Claus requires help from everyone from Whoopi Goldberg to the Power Rangers to Pee Wee Herman. People are going out, they're either accompanying Santa or doing Santa's job for him because he's got the busted leg or the stomach flu. So in this book, the idea is that's all canon. That year after year, this has been the same Santa Claus every single time, and Santa's, you know what? I can do this myself.
Yeah,
I am Santa Claus.
I'm Santa Claus. I can do this. But it turns out he's so out of practice, and he's gotten older that he's not as young as he used to be. So hilarity ensues.
Beautiful.
I feel like you came to the right movie for this.
I know.
Yeah.
It really. It's a
nice time.
It's so funny how I imagine so much of the discussion we'll have is just about how the fourth movie is about Indiana Jones getting older and slowing down. What is the fifth movie going to be about?
I know they kind of spent their whole old man material on this one.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Because I actually, we said way at the beginning too. Like I feel like they could have done maybe not more, but a better job of that or something. I always compared it to Star Trek 2. Star Trek 2 is the one that nailed the whole aging, not superhero, but, hero biz, like Kirk's got glasses and he feels old and he feels weird. And they kind of touch on that in this movie, but maybe they'll do more with it in 5.
But here's the thing. The people that watched Raiders and have been following along with Indiana Jones since Raiders came out have gotten progressively older, just like Indy. Mm-hmm. And we have all reached that age now where all we want to do is talk about what it's like being old and how everything hurts and how we're tired. Yeah. And I feel like people are going to be clamoring for even more of that in Indy 5 than they were in Indy 4.
We're not getting younger.
No.
I don't.
It's just going to be My Dinner with Henry.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. And we're going to love it.
I would adore that.
This is great. Yeah. This is all about us.
And the Javitos had this idol. And I went in there and you should have seen the place. It was really amazing.
Tuesdays with Indy.
All right, but let's get into it. We're here for minute 116 of Crystal Skull, which, by the way, is the last full movie minute of the movie. This is like the last movie that's all, or last minute that's all movie and no credits. And so we're glad to have you here, Kevin.
Oh
You're
my
gonna help
gosh,
us
I
out
made
with
it
this.
just like Indiana Jones grabbing his hat at the last minute. Just under the wire. I just
That's
got
right.
in.
Well done. Okay, but this one, 116, begins with the minister talking about rings, and it ends with that hat being magically and divinely blown off the rack.
So I watched this minute several times, and one thing that jumped out at me is even though like everything in this room is a really light neutral color, it also everything looked a lot like this could have been a funeral just as easily as it could have been a wedding.
Oh,
like the
wow.
flowers in the front
Wow.
row, it looked the pulpit behind Marion looks kind of like an open casket, like the lid up. It's weird.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Mm.
Ah.
That is weird. I was struck this time by, I've seen this movie a bunch of times, especially while we're doing this. And this scene always, okay, yeah, they get married. I get it. Okay, cool. Like, it kind of goes by me. I'm like, okay, nice ending for the thing. Okay, good. But this time I'm watching this minute and I'm like, gosh, this is so clean and Connecticut and like suburban and everything. And like, if Marion and Indy are going to get married, it should be like the shaman from Temple of Doom should be presiding over it. And they do it on the whim, like on the side of a mountain or something. And it's freezing and, it's weird. They just like grab some, local to witness it or something, But it's like, or if they're going to have it in a church, it should be like half pirates and jungle guides and stuff. And all these, like, who are these people in the...
They just dropped in on like bingo night, and these were the people that were there because there are only like 8 people there.
Well,
That's what
I
it
feel
seems like.
The thing we've seen in so many movies, and I'm not putting this down. I think this is a great refillable gag that you can do over and over. I'll point to the movie Up. We've all seen the movie Up. Listeners have seen the movie Up. There's the fun comedic distinction of, well, here's her side of the family,
Right.
or in Up, it's like, here's his mild-mannered side of the family, and here's her loud, obnoxious wahoo hillbillies. That there's sort of a missed opportunity here that it's really just we see one group of wedding party guests, and they're not distinctly Ravenwood or Jones.
Yeah. Like they should have Forrest all propped up in the back or something.
People. Yeah, they're just like NPCs from a video game. Like, everyone's just kind of
Like, are they all like
nondescript and-
school people or something? Are they like, I don't know. Are they all like from
they
the
look
university?
like
or...
remarkably suburban.
Yeah.
For I guess Indiana Jones adventures.
Well,
was Mutt not allowed to invite anybody?
He
Oh,
doesn't
that's
know
a good
anybody.
question.
He doesn't have any friends.
Well, I have a question. So why is Mutt up that, like, who is, first of all, is this the first time that Indy has been married?
Oh my God.
Oh.
Is this his first wedding? Like, where he's the groom and this is his first wedding, and why isn't Dean Charlie the best man? Or Ox?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, wouldn't it be great to have a guy named Ox as your best man at a wedding?
Or Moose.
Ox and Moose and Mutt.
Jock could have brought Jock.
Jock? Yeah, where's Jock?
Jock
Totally.
yes.
I'm
Yeah,
wondering, so there is no best man, there's no maid of honor, unless it's
That is weird.
it's
Yeah.
Mutt, I guess.
He's doing both.
Yeah, Mutt is kind of both.
Double duty. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I guess it makes sense if you just found out that you have a son that you would want him to be in the wedding party,
sure.
such as it is.
But there's
I don't-
nobody. There's nobody else up there. So I'm just, if this is Indy's first wedding, I guess
this
he's.
whole thing makes it seem like none of them has any friends. Like there's
Yeah.
Oxley and Indy's like co-worker at the university, and that's it. And then
But
the
it
three
also
of them.
seems like somebody planned it, but who would have planned it? Like, how long has it been? Who planned it, and why did they plan it this way?
And why did they
Yeah.
pick that celebrant? Like, who picked
Yeah, I'm
that
not sure
guy?
what his story is.
Of all the religious people they know, from Yahweh all the way down to the
Yeah.
shaman, they picked this, cornball.
Yeah.
It is a little weird. It's random. It's like I feel like I don't recognize what's going on or something in the scene all of a sudden. And then Oxley, let me ask you something, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm sure you're a fan of John Hurt. He's awesome.
Oh,
we all
yeah.
love him. How much, as Pete paraphrased at the beginning, how much of human life is lost in waiting? Does that sound? Is he just musing there, or is he
I think it's
chiding them for waiting for so long?
The two of them have waited for so long to finally get married that this is what should have happened years ago, and now they're finally doing it. And I think the other thing about how, suburban the whole thing looks is it's really setting us up to believe that, oh, Indiana Jones is finally settling down. And I'm gonna take a guess that this is his first wedding, because previously he was married to his own adventures. That he couldn't be married because his adventuring required him to travel and live a life of danger that would not be fair to a wife. So now it's a fake. It's a bit of a misdirect that it's like, oh, he's settling down. He's done being Indiana Jones. No more of that. No more of that hat. No more adventures. It's all over.
So this is Indy getting his Costco card and his minivan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and John, Ox is very happy about that. Now, what I think
he is, but at the same time, it does sound like he's like, there's a hint to me that I'm hearing like a note of like, why are they even bothering? Like, they waited so long, they wasted so much time. Why are they getting married now?
I mean,
I was going to ask who's with Jim Broadbent's character, because it looks like he has a date, but John Hurt, I think, is Stag,
right?
And is any of his musings thinking about his own life and how long he's waited?
Well,
is he going to catch the bouquet?
Okay. First of all, why does he get a haircut? That's what I like. What they clean him up, and you're like, now I don't know if a guy named Ox, who's he spent all that time in the sanitarium or whatever. Like I like, why is he cleaned up? I don't know. I just like the fact that he's like, why is he cleaned up?
Riding on the pew with excrement. Like,
You know what is strange? I mean, there's it's a great musing. How much of life is spent waiting, and you go, wow, that'll really knock you on your flat on your back. But is that appropriate to say at the wedding where they're at the altar, where you kind of want to say, okay, so the message is, whatever happened in each Marion or Indy's life, like that was all just wasted time until this moment, whether it was like, I don't know, raising Mutt or, Indy, I don't know, defeating the Nazis in Last Crusade. And, I mean,
what if Ox wasted all of these years and was afraid to tell Marion how he really felt?
Yeah,
Ooh.
that could be too. We were wondering about that.
What if he's thinking,
and
Indy, this was my chance?
And it's not like Indy was it's not like they were spending time together and beating around the bush and not getting like Indy ditched her. He like flat out ditched her like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
that's not the same as waiting. It seems like.
No. I mean, it nullifies the journey.
But then what if that's when you put it that way, Tom? It sounds like he's saying Marion wasted her whole life. She could have had a nice life, and then she wasted it just waiting for this.
Right. Now maybe she'll be happy. Now's when
I thought it was like, this is what she's waited. This is what she wasted it for.
Yeah, it is weird. It's a mix of stuff. We don't need to mix this stuff right now. Let's all just be happy.
Do you guys remember the episode of Amazing Stories with Mark Hamill as the dreamer who becomes a collector of nostalgia and comic books and Woody Woodpecker mugs and things?
Right.
And then at the end, he ends up selling it all. He spends his whole life just kind of collecting, he has an old roadster car and old comic books and coins, and he's able to auction it all off and become a millionaire at the end. And that's one of those things where I've debated with people, what point of view is this Spielberg adjacent story telling us? Did this guy waste his life, or it was all worth it because then in the end he's a rich old man in a tuxedo with a lady on his arm and a cigar? And I just feel like we would have to be a little critical of the 1980s and what the kind of zeitgeisty stuff was going on with wealth and how you spent your life, but
Right.
the notion that he was a dreamer for not settling down and getting a job. And I feel like Spielberg in that, and maybe in this, there's a lot of mixed feelings about settling down and having other voices
Yeah.
come in, and some people saying, well, this was all worth it. But I think to your point, Jerry, there were the journey to nullify the journey that led to this moment. I think for Indy, there was a lot of self-discovery of becoming who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the three of you know more than most people how Indy's character has changed over the films, or hasn't changed over the course of the 4 films. What do you think are the key character arc, the growths, Raiders of the character arc, if you will?
Hey.
How has Indy changed by the end of this film, 116 minutes in, compared to when we first met him?
Well,
in Raiders.
I'll address something that's huge in this minute that you just don't really see from Indiana Jones ever, and I like it. We dog this movie a lot, but I really like this moment and this emotion. We see a sort of fumbling, bumbling Indiana Jones, like when Marion, first when she comes in to kiss him. That could be corny and it's a little Hollywoody and silly, but he looks down at her, and this is where Harrison Ford and he completely channels this happiness, and I think it's terrific. I actually think they really pull that moment off, and you're like, that's not something I would see from Indiana Jones almost ever.
Yeah.
You remember when he says goodbye to Sala and he's just kind of like, "You're a good friend."
Yeah. There
You know what I mean?
pal.
And look, it's heartfelt and all that, but
I
but
gotta
it's,
get on this boat.
yeah, it's just it's a little distance. It's a little bit, I don't say cold, but here we see, like, I think minute 116 maybe the warmest I have ever seen Indiana Jones.
Well, this is like a direct mirror of the kind of like just unguarded excitement when he first sees Marion in the jungle.
Yeah, it's true.
Kind of like this kind of sort of like happy surprise that you've never seen that from him before,
Right?
And it's kind of mirrored here. So he's in this. I want to say that he's changed the most between Last Crusade and this one. Like, I don't know if there's we're actually kind of frustrated with how like each movie was sort of like a reset for him.
Right.
He comes to some huge realization. He's seen something amazing, and then he's kind of back to being Scully from the X-Files. Like, whatever, baloney. But in this one, he starts off as older and a little wiser and a little like. Well, thankfully, he never says I'm getting too old for this stuff or anything like that. But he's kind of got that air to him. And there's my favorite part of this whole movie is like in the early, I don't know, like the first half or third or something, his relationship with this kid who he doesn't even know is his son, but he's got this fatherly sense to their relationship and kind of giving him advice and kind of trying to calm him down from being a hothead and stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see the Raiders Indiana Jones putting up with that kind of stuff or in the same way or something. I think that now he's older, he's seen a lot, he's matured.
But see,
and he's just in a
feel
different
like,
place and can see things differently.
I like what both of you said, but I feel like Indy. I feel like this movie didn't earn that giddy reaction from Indy. I feel like maybe Indiana Jones has earned it after 4 movies, but I don't feel like this movie earned it. Like, I feel like it's taking place for me outside of this movie.
There is a healthy dose of fan service skepticism that I see this whole thing with. That like, oh, we as Raiders fans are expecting him to marry Marion Ravenwood, and so that's the only reason that the scene is happening. And so, there's like a little bit of like this isn't actually organic, or this isn't like you say earned. It's sort of
I feel like
they're supposed to get married because we all know they're going to get married, so they're getting married.
Yeah, and I don't feel like the arc led to this in this movie or even over these movies, but I feel like it's kind of like, well, people have been waiting for all these years. Let's give it to him.
Yeah.
But I don't feel
Karen
like
Allen back. We got to put her in a wedding dress.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought about that. A part of me is like, well, what were they supposed to do? You know, I mean,
Right.
as a
Well,
fan,
but they could.
They could be together.
yeah.
Write the script a little
Well,
better.
no,
Makes sense.
sure. No, yeah. I mean, I guess the idea of it I like, and I don't know, it's a nice, bubbly, warm moment. But you're right, it's. No, you're right, Pete.
I feel like
if
if I hadn't watched a lot of Indiana Jones before and I watched this movie, I don't think this wedding would make a lot of sense.
When we talk about fan service, is there an idea that fans previously felt they didn't get to see these two get married and this was missing, and the fourth film is finally going to deliver something that fans wanted? Because I'm not sure that fans knew that they wanted it.
I don't know if fans, I mean, I was a fan, you know, I'm a fan. I know that I was excited to hear that Marion Ravenwood was coming back in the fourth movie.
I was too.
Sure, me too.
But I don't know if that meant to me like, oh, and that means that the movie will end with them getting married, and that'll make total sense, and it'll be very satisfying to me.
We'll play MASH and draw that spiral and how many kids. And...
Yeah. But I mean, it could have ended with like some variation on like, you know, the ending of Raiders with, you know, just the two of them are together, arm in arm. They're going to go get a drink. Maybe Mutt's with them, maybe not. Maybe he'll get them malted or something. But yeah, and I don't think I'm fighting against Indy being like all domesticated and stuff. Like I say, he's older. He is sort of fatherly now. It would be natural for that.
Hey, his aging in this movie and the treatment of his aging, I didn't think was not poorly done.
No, there was a lot that was really
well done. That's kind of the irony of some of this is, you know, they made these half-court shots and missed some of the layups, you know, I mean.
But how many of the half-court shots are just because we have such amazing actors and we have amazing directors and some stuff happens, whereas maybe the script itself just didn't support a lot of this.
Well, Pete, let me ask you this. On his bachelor night, did Indy get a stripper to cosplay as Nefertiti? Do you think that's what he does on his bachelor night?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's better than if it's Willie.
And I like to imagine. Oh, sorry. I like to imagine that Weber showed up with Crystal Skull vodka.
Oh my god! Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Tying it all together.
It all makes sense.
Like what does Indy do on his bachelor night? He's got a
full of live poultry.
Indy's got like a great friend named Ox. Like, what do they do on their bachelor night? What do you think? What do you think?
Either whist or pinochle. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe bridge.
Yeah. Charlie.
Question for the panel.
Yes.
One of my favorite series is the original 5 Planet of the Apes films. That saga. Each of those movies ended with the idea that it was the final film in the series. And then the movie would make money, and 20th Century Fox is like, oh, we need another one. It's like, but we blew up the planet. Figure something out, because we need a third one. Mm-hmm. Do you think the idea was this was meant to be the ending of the story, and we want to show what finally happens to Indiana Jones as he gets married and settled down? Was this supposed to be the final note?
That's a great question, because the last one was supposed to be the final note too.
Yeah, the last one was the perfect final note. And you know what? You mentioned Planet of the Apes, but as I'm thinking about it, maybe I said this before, but it seems like they're also it is like Star Trek. They made one, and they're like, well, that's not exactly what we want to do. Let's make 2. 2 is fantastic. We'll do 3. 3 didn't exactly do it. We'll do 4. 4 was fantastic. And so,
they're all admirals now, so we got to demote them back to captains. So we got to demote him back to it.
We have to make them criminals so they get slightly demoted. Yeah. So yeah, it is kind of like it's. And it's not like they wanted to do another one, but they took so long. And this did seem like, when you read about like how the project came up, it sounds like it was like basically like a labor of love. Like they're all standing around at some event. I forget what, some AFI thing or something. Like, damn it, we should do another Indiana Jones movie. That'd be great. And they kind of started getting to it and stuff, and things happen, and UFOs and not UFOs and stuff, and it just never came together. And so you feel sort of bad for them, because like they, even though they did have the perfect ending with the end of Last Crusade, they kind of wanted to do another one. Let's see Indiana Jones as a slightly older guy and maybe getting married off or something. I don't know. And yeah, so now we're going into 5, and that'll be awesome. And so they'll make 6, and it'll be lame, and on and on.
Well,
But yeah, I do sort of feel like this was meant to be the end. Like, we're squeezing out one more. It'll be great.
Okay. I mean, as we know, I remember from the movie, whatever, we haven't gotten there, but they left the door open. They left the door open. And if they never
Literally.
if they never made another one, then that would be fine, and you would just be, what happens to Indy and his legacy is just open for interpretation. And you can go home, you can call a couple people to come over for your bachelor night, and you can spend your bachelor night wondering what happens with Mutt and Indiana Jones.
I feel like the way they end this with Indy going into, suburban domestication, it feels more like this is a much less satisfying way to then go home and imagine his further adventures than if it's not this kind of ending. Like, because it doesn't sort of seem like he will have any more adventures.
All right, well, so, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, as a totally different thing. What if the movie had ended, like, and he had just been intercepted by the Jovitos? And he's, here it is. He's like 30 or 40 years later.
Is this
and
like occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, and it's like he goes back and he's next to Forrestal?
Yeah.
He's just been run over by a boulder.
Like, I mean, would that have been satisfying if you see he's like, it had ended like that. He had just gotten captured by the Jovitos or something like that. He's definitely now into, like, he hasn't given up on the adventures. None of it. He's about to embark on another.
Well, I guess it ties everything up so neatly. There's not much else to think about. Like, I like movies when you leave and you're kind of like, oh, I wonder what's going on now. I wonder what he's doing right now.
Riding into the sunset kind of gives you that. They're like, they're doing something adventurous right now at the very end of the movie, even
they're
though
going to have
adventure's
adventures on their
over.
way back to the train station.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I think one of the things I love about Marion is, she says we're going to be in the first film. She says we're partners, and she is up for as much adventuring as he is.
Oh, sure.
So the fact that he didn't marry Willie, he married Marion, who is potentially going to be who's not going to stop him and prevent him from going away. She'll say, "I'll get my bags.
Yeah,
I'll go with you."
She was on an adventure already at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Without him.
Well, and they remind us of that because he's like, he turns the pastor turns to Indy and says, "You may now kiss the bride," or whatever. And Marion throws the bouquet and runs in and plants one on Indy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, well, like Indy's gonna have his hands full.
Right.
Well, speaking of having his hands full. Is it weird that Mutt licks his lips when his parents are kissing?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Pete. That was, I think that might be the weirdest moment in the entire movie. At minute 116,
really weird.
He's smacking his lips,
really
watching his mom kiss his dad.
Wait a minute, I'm going back to look. I noticed that.
I can't believe you missed that. Jerry.
Well, I know that Mutt is feeling weird about it. And he does.
Yeah, but when you watch your parents kiss, you normally don't slowly lick your lips.
Well, he gave that. Remember, back in the truck, in the jungle, he kind of gave that look to Marion, you're kind of sizing her up or something. Like he just found out that she was a sexual being because she apparently had sex with Indiana Jones at some point.
Very Oedipal in this conversation.
Yeah,
I'm not uncomfortable with this.
I mean, that's what the movie's giving us.
They
I don't know what else to do.
They take a moment. So okay, so is this the first time that Indy and Marion have kissed? Basically, since the Bantu win? I mean, because Mutt's looking at it like he's never seen this before.
Well, he's looking at it like he's never seen anybody.
He's looking at
not
them
just
like both of them just turned into ice cream cones. Sure is hot in here.
I don't, you don't know if Mutt's going to be okay. I mean, they kind of show you that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is an indication that maybe he's not okay.
Well, to hear you tell it, yeah, Peter.
Yeah, he's got stuff going on.
I mean, just watch the scene. It's creepy.
It is.
It's really
I
weird.
think,
weird.
yeah, you're right. They're trying to be like, okay, Mutt is going through a door right here where he's accepting this liaison. You know, and he's saying, okay, this is how life is, and yeah, that's my mom right there, and okay, that's my dad, and that's you know, he's and they kind of have a follow up to that where Indy grabs, you know, Mutt's elbow and forces him to come in as they walk down the aisle, and he's kind of like, you know, he kind of like Mutt is still digesting this.
Yeah.
Seems like
And
there are a couple
Indy,
things in
like,
this
you know,
minute that-
shoves the particle down his throat.
Well, there are a couple things in this minute that make me think of you, Kevin, because you've done a lot of really cool shows where you like do themes,
Yes.
and this seems like a common theme in a movie where we have these characters, and then at the end, after all of this conflict and strife, it's a come together, and you grab the kid and you like, you know, kind of noogie the back of his head, and everybody's happy now.
Yeah, I had an interesting job I was up for many years ago where thankfully I didn't get it, but it was I wanted to write in TV and animation, and there was just like an entry-level job of taking Japanese cartoons, and they would get the raw translation of like, here's basically what they're saying, but then you need to write it into more dialogue that kind of fits the character, but you also have to write dialogue that matches the animated lip
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
A really difficult job.
Wow.
So I went to go see I think it was the third Pokemon movie was in theaters. And I at the job interview I said, oh, it's really interesting that the parents don't reunite with the child who had gone missing on this adventure until the, like, what do you call it? Not the post-credit sequence, but like the credit sequence where there's stuff happening during the credits. I said, I thought they really downplayed that because in American kids media and American media, family reunification is a huge theme about the family becoming a unit. And that's exactly what we're seeing when they walk down the steps. Oh, that's interesting. They walk down the steps just like at the end of Raiders where they walk.
Oh my God, they do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, why didn't Marion do like a quick little like up the thing and then down the thing? Oh, that would have been good.
But apparently in this Pokemon film, the reason it was tacked onto the credits is that it wasn't in the movie. That doesn't happen until the fourth Pokemon film. They put it in for the American version because the American storytelling is all about family reunification.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what we're seeing here. I think Pete, you're absolutely right. Huge theme of like the family's been pulled apart, but now we're together and we're stronger than ever because of the adventures that we had.
Yeah.
And we're the two of us are married, but that doesn't mean you're the odd man out. Now the three of us are a family. That's what's happening without any dialogue. That's, I think, what's being communicated.
We may very well be underestimating the challenges and the adventure that Indiana Jones is now going to have living in suburbia.
Maybe he's got to, like, are the neighbors going to accept a motorcycle in the garage or in the driveway or something? And rock and roll music at all hours?
I don't know. I mean, we're assuming that it's like, oh, he's settling down. He's it literally is hanging up his hat. His hat is hung up, literally. And you're like, oh, okay, no more adventures for Indy. But maybe it's a whole new. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a Belloc type lives down the street.
Maybe, yeah.
It reminds me of another when. Before we started recording, we were talking about just, the like in Star Trek 2, how they deal with characters aging. And I think one of my favorite examples of characters aging, there was a teaser trailer for The Incredibles that showed Mr. Incredible unable to buckle his belt, I think.
Yeah.
Not a scene that's in the movie, but just a great teaser that just kind of tells you what this film is all about. A once great superhero has now got a belly that he's got to work around. And The Incredibles ends with the idea that, like, oh, they're not going to stop at all. They're more powerful than ever because their kids are part of the team. And I think that's what we're seeing here, is that Mutt and Marion are part of the team, that the adventures can continue, but instead of being going solo, he's going to have two other great characters with him.
Which
Well,
which
why-
makes it so bizarre that we know that neither of them is in episode 5 or movie 5.
Yeah,
movie 5.
there was never
That's
any.
just strange.
There was never a question after this movie came out that there would be like a Mutt movie or was it just because people didn't like this movie, or like why was that never?
So that
Like, I don't remember any
does-
buzz.
does
Like,
that-
oh, is Mutt going to be the next Indy? Is Mutt?
does that mean that the 5th film is the fan service? Like,
Oh, maybe.
gotten rid of
Yeah.
Mutt.
Yeah.
well-
we all know that didn't feel right. That
It turns
domestication
out-
wasn't going to work. So yeah.
It turns out Marion was a fembot. Indy's single, baby.
Oh my god, that might be what I'm most interested in seeing in the new movie is how they explain away Marion and even Mutt. Like they don't seem to be part of the movie or the adventure
Or Shorty.
anything.
You know what?
Really?
If-
Like, is
if-
anyone else
yeah,
gonna
if
be
they-
taken away?
It's entirely possible they've been kidnapped and he has to get them back. You know, it
Maybe
could be a
it could be a surprise. Maybe they're in the movie. I don't know.
That, you know what?
Yeah.
If you your choices are, you could ignore it, you can do like a really terrible job of it, or you can actually, if you know anything about real life, it's like it's frequently stranger than fiction. So if you
Yeah.
borrow something from real life, like a real story, I mean, you could make it real as to where Mutt is or what happened to Marion, or I mean, there's all sorts.
It could be
of
totally
things.
mundane. It could be like, oh yeah, I'm on this adventure, and I asked my wife if it was cool, and she said yeah. Like
Sure.
she's back at home. Like she's happy to have some alone time. I'm gonna go globetrotting. It's cool.
and she has a throwaway line about Indy hasn't been the same since Mutt was killed in Vietnam.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
I don't know if I have my timeline correct.
That's good enough,
Maybe
I
that's-
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Korea.
like that. Yeah.
Maybe Korea. Yeah, I don't know. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean,
In like a year.
so we have this, what feels like a very dark few seconds at the end of this minute. And, I'm wondering, so Pete, a question for you. So Mutt, he's kind of all smiles because like Indy pulls him in with the old, hook elbow. And then Mutt kind of like, oh yeah, here we are. And they all start smiling and, congratulations, Henry. And they both say yes.
And only Henry, yeah.
Yeah, right. And so then Mutt gets a little bit sober and he grabs a camera and then he's going to go take a picture and we have this, Yahweh wind coming in, right? It blows the door open and you have ominous music and I'm thinking, what is Mutt doing? And it's like he's about to look at it by taking a picture. Right, he's about to look at it. It's like what?
Oh, so Yahweh's in the scene. Like Yahweh was the best man, and he doesn't want.
Yeah, he
he's
doesn't
like
want
a
the
Godfather
picture of it because
situation. He's
that's
like, no
what's
pictures,
happening.
No pictures.
He's like about
Yeah.
to, look at it, and Yahweh comes in and stops it. Whatever you do,
Yeah, well,
don't
I mean,
look
the-
at
the-
it.
Yeah, the last time Marion and Indy were there and something was being filmed while they
Yeah,
were together,
exactly.
it didn't end well.
Right.
I'm just catching up to the point Jerry made.
Well, why? Okay, so Pete, what is happening? I know we'll discuss the next minute later, but this is it's the music is scary, and the way that the gust comes in,
It is.
it's definitely supernatural.
Those are solid doors.
Yeah.
Too. Like has that ever
Yeah.
happened to you in real life where the wind blows your front door open like that?
No, never.
I don't think it happen. I don't think it generally tends to happen.
Unless it's a tornado or something.
Yeah.
Even then, you got a solidly closed door. It's gonna be.
And those are
it's gonna
big
be fun.
doors.
Yeah,
Those
oh,
are-
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is hard to
I
talk
like that,
about
Jer. I
without
like that it's Yahweh.
I there was no doubt in my mind that both of you would say that it was
Oh,
Yahweh.
yeah.
Or maybe it's Shiva. Maybe Shiva's like, oh great, you're gonna do a Yahweh wedding. What about me?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You're using my house without my permission?
Well, no. Why is Yahweh invited and you leave the Shiva Linga stones outside?
That's
You
right.
know what? What if Yahweh wasn't invited?
Oh.
And this is him crashing the wedding.
This is the. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. That might what it be. He's
Yeah.
like running through the doors right now.
This is the graduates.
That's
Oh
awesome.
my gosh.
I have a really stupid note. When Henry and both the Henrys, Indy and Mutt say thanks ox, it sounds like thank socks. There.
Thanks, Ox.
I watched this minute dozens of times, and every time I was like, did they just say
Hey,
thanks,
wait,
Sox?
Did we know that Mutt's name was Henry?
Yeah.
No, I don't get that. Okay.
Is that the moment we find out?
I guess.
I don't think he was ever.
I don't know if they ever said it.
And so if his name is Henry, then is he Henry Jones Jr. Jr.?
That's how it works, Jerry.
Henry
yes.
Jones III, yeah.
I guess did we know that he was Henry? I feel like we were supposed to know that because we're doing a podcast about it.
I don't remember that ever coming, because I remember being surprised when he said this here.
It seems super weird because he would never respond to the name Henry. No one has called him Henry the entire movie. And so why would he respond to Henry right now? And like last week, our guest Stephen Badham would kind of reference this, like, why does Oxley go up to the three of them and just say, "Well done, Henry"? That seems really obnoxious. He's lived with Marion, he's been her friend and her shoulder to cry on and everything. He's totally dissing her right now. And then I realized it's another case. This happens over and over in this movie where the only reason somebody says something is like as a setup to what is usually kind of a lame gag. Like he only says Henry so that the two of them can say thanks, Ox, or shoot us both, Spock, or whatever it is.
Well, I'm wondering, does maybe
Thank you, Kevin.
maybe maybe Ox always called Mutt Henry. Maybe he never
That could
called
be.
him Mutt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he might not know his name. Who's Mutt?
Yeah.
So who gave him the name Mutt?
Dad.
Didn't Mutt say that he chose that name for himself? And Mr. Indiana Jones thought that was silly?
I think a lot of guys named Mutt chose the name for themselves.
Why do they call you Doofus? I don't know. I just picked it for myself. Sounds cool.
That was my
Chick seemed to
grandmother's
dig
maiden name.
Kevin, you said something fascinating that I wasn't expecting before we started recording, that you had just seen this movie for the first time a couple years ago.
3 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
I'd avoided it. And
that was
then,
my question. Was it like an active, like, I don't need this in my life?
Yeah,
Okay.
there no need, because I'd only heard bad things about it. And then I guess I got not a morbid curiosity, but I was like, hey, how bad can it be?
Right.
And I think,
how bad was it?
Well, I think it's like many things when something is like panned so horribly by fans with an axe to grind. You go into it and it's like, this ain't so bad.
Right.
Got its
Relax,
moments.
everybody.
It's got its charm.
Mhm.
Relax.
Yeah.
I think that is also the benefit of, like, having over 10 years to lower my expectations.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes it's that the hype machine of this is the worst movie ever. And it's like, if this is the worst movie ever, if this is the worst movie you've ever seen, you've lived a guarded life.
I got a list of movies for you.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I had a, like, even having seen this when it first came out, when I rewatched this before we started this podcast, I thought it wasn't nearly as bad as I remembered. Whereas, and I think it wasn't just me, because some movies like Phantom Menace to me is worse than I remember. So to me, it wasn't just that I've softened. Like, I feel like maybe I was unfairly hard on this movie.
I just tangentially related to what we're talking about. I just saw Night of the Hunter at a drive-in in Pennsylvania.
Such a good movie.
And
Such a good movie.
In the introduction, there's a guy who wrote a book about the film, 1955 Charles Laughton movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And the guy said, at the time when the film came out, audiences, bombed. Audiences didn't like it. A lot of critics didn't get it. But today we recognize it as a masterpiece. And I'm like, oh God, is this like when people talk about Phantom Menace? Not that bad. Actually, really ahead of its time. When it came out, people didn't get it. Like,
what? If you'd had Anakin walking into the Jedi Temple going, "Children," like Robert Mitchum, yes, it could have been a masterpiece.
Or just Padme floating at the bottom of a lake or something. I'd watch that. Well, does anybody have anything else?
I have a little bonus. I have a little game for you guys.
Oh my gosh!
Hey.
Pete earlier made reference to the Kevin Geeks Out show, where we do themes. We look at stuff. You can go to lovekevin.com to find out about the next Kevin Geeks Out show coming to New York City. We're also going to be taking the show on the road to promote the new book I wrote
cool.
with Joe Dater. And one of the things we do in our Christmas show, we have two different Santa games at our Christmas show. So I put together a special Santa game specifically for this podcast for the three of you to be contestants. So here's how it works. In the game, I will, you know how celebrities will do like Christmas cards, or they'll appear on red carpets and get their photo taken with Santa Claus. I've put together a list of some of the actors from the Indiana Jones saga, and I'm gonna give each of you the name of a person that I'll give you an example of somebody not in the movie. If I were to say Nancy Reagan and Santa suit, if I typed those words into Google, would a photo come up showing Nancy Reagan with Santa Claus? Yes or no?
Yes.
The answer is yes. And you type it in, and there's Nancy Reagan with Dom DeLuise as Santa. Or Mr. T as Santa. Larry Hagman as Santa. Tons of them.
Now, a lot of Santas.
I think because we don't have a bunch of rotund actors like a George Wendt or a John Goodman, I'm not going to do the typical game to see if they are dressed up as Santa, but I'll do the one about whether or not there's a photo of them with Santa. So I've got 10 questions, which means you each get 3, and then there will be a tiebreaker should we need it. So you get 5 seconds. Don't overthink it. Just trust your gut.
This one feature is so much better thought out than most of our shows. So thank you for this already.
Yeah, what do you mean most of?
So it's gonna go Tom, Pete, Jerry. I'm gonna name someone, and if I put their name into Google with the word Santa Claus, does a photo show up of them in Santa Claus? You just have to say yes or no. So Tom, we're gonna start with you. Harrison Ford and Santa Claus. Yes or no? Does a photo show up?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. There's a photo of Harrison Ford, and you'll never guess who plays Santa Claus.
Ronald Lacey.
Angie, good guess. Angie Dickinson.
Oh my God! Wait a minute.
Yes, a very leggy
That was my second
Santa.
guess.
Wow.
Okay, Pete. Steven Spielberg. If you put in Steven Spielberg and Santa Claus, does a photo show up with Spielberg and Santa? Yes or no?
Yes, and I'm going to say it's E.T.
No.
Wow.
There is not. That is an excellent guess, but it's mostly photos from like his Santa Amazing Stories or Gizmo wearing a Santa hat. But there's no photo. There is a photo of. There is curiously a photo of Steven Spielberg with Richard Attenborough, who has a big white beard, and I guess that comes up in the Google search because he looks like Santa. All right, Jerry, George Lucas and Santa Claus. Yes or no? Does a photo show up?
Oh, that's tough because George Lucas is so weird.
Yes. Got 3 seconds left.
Okay, yes. I'm going to say yes.
No.
Damn!
Unfortunately, the closest thing we get is artwork of Yoda in a Santa suit. No beard, but a Santa suit. Okay, we're bringing it back to Tom. We're going to start speeding things up. Kate Capshaw in Santa Claus. Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
Oh my God.
I could have sworn I've seen a Christmas card photo of the Spielbergs.
I can see you're sitting on his lap or something.
Yeah, but no, not there.
Okay.
All right. Pete, I don't want to say too much. This is a little bit of a trick question. I'm going to give you a heads up. It's a trick question. William Hootkins and Santa Claus. Is there a photo of the two of them together? Yes,
I'm going to say no because William Hootkins is Santa Claus.
That is correct. In the movie Like Father, Like Santa, William Hootkins plays Santa, who is the father of Harry Hamlin.
Wow.
We're turning things over to Jerry Porter for the next Santa Suit Challenge. Is it Alfred Molina and Santa Claus? Yes or no?
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Doesn't he do a few weird kid things?
You got 2 seconds. Yes or no?
Okay, I'm going to say yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Woo!
He plays opposite a Santa Claus in the movie Nothing Like the Holidays, a movie I didn't know existed until minutes before recording this podcast.
Fantastic.
Okay, Tom Taylor, we're going to take it back to you for this is the final round.
Okay.
We're tied up right now. Everybody's gotten one right, one wrong. So this is going to make or break it, and then we got a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Shia LaBeouf, does the photo show up of him with Santa Claus? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Great photo. I highly recommend you Google it because Shia LaBeouf knows how to play the media. So, of course, there's going to be a photo of him with Santa. Pete, you're up next. Sean Connery, yes or no? Is there a photo of him with Santa Claus?
Yes.
No, there is not.
Wow.
No, there is not.
All these
there are
years.
photoshopped images of Santa of Sean Connery in Santa hats, including Henry Jones and his son in Santa hats, and Zardoz in a Santa hat, but none of Sean Connery with Santa.
Oh wow,
Jerry, another question for you here. John Rhys Davies, does he appear with Santa Claus? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh,
we've got a tie. We've got a tie between Tom and Jerry. We're going into the final one. So I guess it's whoever chimes in first. You have to wait until I am done reading the question, where I will say yes or no.
Okay.
And the question is, if you Google, and wait until I say yes or no, if you Google the words John Hurt and Santa Claus, does a photo of the two of them come up? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, you both said no. You're both correct. The thing that comes up is we see Mick Foley as Santa, because I guess the idea is somewhere in the Google, like he hurts people. He's a wrestler.
Yes, he hurt. Oh
I don't know.
God.
Or John Cena is sometimes in the photo with Mick Foley as Santa Claus. All right, we got a backup after this. I don't know what we're gonna do. So I guess we'll do. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. But here's the final one.
Okay.
Is there a photo of Jim Broadbent and Santa Claus together? Yes or no?
No.
No. Oh,
Jerry
God,
said no first, and Jerry is correct because instead it brings up photos of Jim Broadbent as Santa Claus. Jerry is the winner of the Santa Claus game. Remember, Santa Doesn't Need Your Help will come out October 25th. You can go to lovekevin.com to find out more about this great, exciting, hilarious pop culture love letter to Santa Claus for all ages.
And you shared with us a little preview of it, and it's awesome.
It is.
It is
fantastic.
It is zippy.
Fantastic.
It is everything you want from a Christmas book.
Congrats to you and Joe Dater.
Yeah.
And now Jerry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Speaking of winners, but I don't win anything. Honestly, definitely not things with movies.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
This coming in down the chimney from Professor Christy Porter. Did Indy and Marion get a joint dog? And if they did, what did they name it?
Han Solo. I don't know.
Well, I think they named it Henry.
Do you think they?
Everybody's named it Henry.
Do you think they have a dog?
Well, the dog was named Indiana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they have a dog named Idaho?
Yeah, Duluth.
Tom Selleck.
I can't imagine Indy having the level of I don't know concern to take care of a dog.
I think if
he'd
you
be
know
happy
you're
to...
going to be globetrotting, you don't want to have to get.
Yeah.
But now that he's married,
the dog.
and since Marion's probably going to take care of the dog anyway, even when Indy is home, I think he's fine with it. I think he probably like to have a dog around. He just doesn't want to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see him grabbing like the poop bags on the way out, and he goes, besides, you know what a cautious man I am.
Yeah. Or he's standing there with the poop bag on the lawn. He's like weighing some of it out. He's like letting some of it fall through his fingers to like get just the right heft to it. Yeah.
What are you wearing? Like one of those Jack
doing?
Tripper, like those Jack Tripper jogging suits with the like a turquoise blue jogging suit.
Yeah. It becomes like
where are they gonna live?
It's like Raiders of the Lost Hedge trimmer all of a sudden.
Do you think does Indy mow the lawn himself, or does he pay like
Well, he's got mud.
See, now I think he's the kind of guy who would like, grab the arm of the enterprising young kid down the street and be like, "Here, kid, I'll give you a nickel if you, teach you a life lesson. It's hard work. Do this for me." Yeah.
Yeah.
He might. I think he's in that stage of life where he wants to pass on what twisted knowledge he's learned over the years. Yeah. It's going to be great. I'm happy for these two.
Does Mutt live with them?
Well, it seems like he still lives with his mom, so it seems like that would be a yes.
He might get the Fonzie unit over the
There
garage.
you go. That's exactly the only possible outcome.
That's hilarious.
He's got his own
bizarre.
little dark room for his wedding photos.
That's right. I'm developing in here. Whatever that means. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
My
We had
pleasure.
no
This
idea
was
we were going to
fun.
get a
Great.
game. We got this is awesome, and we love having you on the show. And
Yeah.
tell everybody again where they can find you and your upcoming show.
Love-
and
It's
everything.
lovekevin.com, your one-stop shopping to find out about the Kevin Geeks Out show, see some of my videos and video essays, find out about the book Santa Doesn't Need Your Help. It's all right there. Lovekevin.com.
Perfect.
Can I just say I loved your somewhat recent guided meditation.
Oh, thanks. That's my
That was
real experience. It's a we produce. I think it's on the website. It's what I hear when I try to do a guided meditation. That the meditation goes wrong, where the person guiding you says like, "It's all good. You have no worries. The oven is definitely off. You didn't leave the oven on. You're good."
Oh my God, that's all we need. Well, Kevin, thank you again. Jerry, Pete, thank you.
Thank
We're,
you.
we're almost to the end of this movie. It's only taken us 3 years. It's going to be great.
Woohoo.
And everybody, if you want to find us at an easy place with all our stuff, go to IndianaJonesMinute.com. That'll take you to all the things that we want you to find, including this show. A new episode of which will be up next Monday, and that will be minute 117 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, right here on the good old Indiana Jones Minute.
Congratulations, Jerry.
Jerry, well done.
Yes,
Congratulations.
congratulations, Jerry.